Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we uncover the secrets hidden within corporate filings. Buckle up because today we are looking at the shiny new 8K from Mainz Biomed NV. And let me tell you, there is a lot going on under the hood. This filing is a big deal for Mainz Biomed NV because it announces a pretty significant financial deal. Essentially, they are bringing in some serious investment money, but it comes with some major strings attached and some interesting shifts in who is calling the shots. We are going to dive into the details of this deal, what it means for the company's future, and some of the not. So, small print that investors need to know about. So, what exactly happened on the 13th of February 2026? Mainz Biomed NV signed a securities purchase agreement with a gentleman named David E. Lazar. This agreement is all about a private sale of shares, and it is quite substantial. First off, Mr. Lazar is buying a whole lot of preferred shares. We are talking about Series A, B, and C preferred shares. Individually, these are convertible into a significant number of ordinary shares, up to 9 million ordinary shares each. In total, for these first closing shares, Mr. Lazar is shelling out $3 million. But it does not stop there. The deal has a second phase, a second closing. Mr. Lazar will also purchase Series D and Series E preferred shares. These are even more potent, with each share potentially converting into a whopping 225 ordinary shares. This second part of the deal also costs another $3 million collectively. This whole investment is a substantial injection of cash for the company. Now, let us talk about what this means. The preferred shares, once they are fully converted, could represent over 95% of the company's outstanding ordinary shares. That is a massive chunk of the company. It also means that Mr. Lazar is essentially poised to become the majority shareholder. This is why there are specific rules and approvals needed, especially related to NASDAQ listing rules. One is called Rule 5635, which basically says you need shareholder approval if you are selling quite a bit of stock for less than its market value. Another, Rule 5635B, requires approval if the issuance of new shares could lead to a change in control of the company. Given that Mr. Lazar could end up owning over 95%, a change of control is definitely on the table, making shareholder approval a critical step. The conversion of these preferred shares is limited initially, so Mr. Lazar cannot instantly own more than 19.99% of the outstanding shares until shareholder approval is obtained. This cap is a crucial safeguard while the company seeks the necessary votes. To make all of this conversion happen, the company needs something called conversion approval from its shareholders. They have committed to holding a shareholder meeting by the 15th of April 2026 to get this approval. Along with the conversion, they also need shareholder votes on electing directors, including a nominee from Mr. Lazar and a potential stock split. If they do not get the conversion approval at this first meeting, they have to try again with another meeting within 90 days. If that second meeting also fails to get the approval, the deal has a fallback where Mr. Lazar might be able to buy up to 19.99% of the company's shares at a specific price. This shows how important shareholder backing is for the full realization of this investment. As part of this deal, and right around the time the first close happened, David Lazar was also appointed to the company's board of directors. This is a pretty standard move when a major investor comes on board, especially one who is set to gain significant control. He has some contractual rights related to the board, including the power to recommend who gets nominated as a director. If the deal fully closes, he could even nominate up to 6 more directors. This clearly shows his growing influence within the company. There are also some specific promises or covenants made in the agreement. For instance, the company has to keep a reserve of ordinary shares ready to go to complete this investment. Also, until the shareholder meeting, they cannot make big changes without Mr. Lazar's consent. This includes things like altering the board size, changing their business operations, taking on debt outside the normal course of business, or issuing more stock, with only a few exceptions. This essentially means Mr. Lazar has a significant say in how the company operates during this transition period. On top of all this, the company has also given Mr. Lazar a right to participate in future financing rounds for up to 6 months after the initial investment. He can put in up to 25% of any new money raised. This ensures he can maintain or even increase his stake as the company continues to grow and seek further funding. Now, to make sure those shareholder votes go the way they need to, a voting agreement was put in place. This agreement is with certain other shareholders who together own about 12.4% of the company's shares. These shareholders have agreed to vote their shares in favor of the proposals that will help this investment go through. They have also appointed the company as an irrevocable proxy for their shares. This sounds a bit complicated, but it essentially means these shareholders are locking in their votes to support the deal. This agreement also includes a standstill clause. meaning these voting shareholders cannot try to buy more of the company or influence its management in ways not agreed upon until after their votes have been cast for the deal. The preferred shares themselves have some specific terms. They are in registered form, meaning ownership is recorded officially, and under Dutch law, which governs the company, issuing shares requires a resolution from the general meeting of shareholders, usually based on a proposal from the board. The company currently has board authorization to issue shares until the 9th of November 2026, which covers the timeline for this deal. It is also worth noting the distribution of profits. According to the company's articles of association, any profits or available reserves must first be used to pay dividends on these preferred shares. This gives the preferred shareholders a priority claim on any profits generated by the company before ordinary shareholders receive anything. This section talks about selling shares without registering them with regulatory bodies. The first closing shares and an additional 1 million ordinary shares, which were given to 8 directors and employees as part of their incentive plan and vested immediately, were sold under an exemption from registration. This exemption, Section 4, at 2 of the Securities Act, is typically used for private placements where the purchasers are sophisticated investors who do not need the full protection of public registration. Back to David Lazar's appointment. On the 13th of February 2026, he was appointed as a temporary non-executive director and the chair of the board. His term lasts until the company's first general meeting after the purchase agreement was signed. His background is quite extensive, with a long list of CEO and chairman roles at other public companies, including So Good Bio Incorporated, Nova Bay Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, Phi Incorporated, BioGreen Med Solution Incorporated, Black Titan Corporation, and Opgen Incorporated. The board sees his experience as an investor and a leader of public companies as valuable for the company. This investment also triggered some settlement agreements. Mainz Biomed NV entered into these agreements with 2 of its officers and 3 of its directors. These agreements generally involve the officers and directors releasing the company from any claims they might have, and in return, the company releases them from any claims it might have. The company also has to pay these individuals for accrued salary bonuses, healthcare continuation, and severance payments. The total estimated payments for these settlements are around $1.9 million. This suggests there might have been some dissatisfaction or ongoing issues that are being resolved as part of this new investment and leadership change. The company also issued a press release on the 17th of February 2026, announcing this investment and other related matters. Press releases are often used to communicate significant corporate events to the public, and this one serves to officially inform investors and stakeholders about the deal with Mr. Lazar. Now, like most filings, this report contains what are called forward-looking statements. These are essentially statements about future expectations and plans. They are based on current assumptions but are subject to risks and uncertainties. The company is warning that actual results could be very different from what they are predicting. This is standard legal language to protect themselves from lawsuits if things do not turn out as planned. They also mention that more details about risks can be found in their other SEC filings, especially in the risk factors section. Finally, the filing lists the exhibits. This would include the actual securities purchase agreement, the voting agreement, and the settlement agreements, along with the press release. These documents provide the full, unredacted details of the agreements. Plus indicates that some schedules and confidential parts of these agreements have been omitted, but the company will provide them to the SEC if requested. Okay, let's break down what this all means for Mainz Biomed NV. This filing is essentially announcing a potential takeover, or at least a massive shift in control. The investment from David Lazar is huge, and if the conversion happens, he will own the vast majority of the company. This could be a good thing if his vision and capital can turn the company around or propel it to new heights. His extensive experience in leading public companies certainly suggests he knows how to navigate the corporate world. However, it is also a cautionary tale. Such a significant ownership stake and control comes with the responsibility to manage the company effectively. And the success of the company now hinges heavily on his leadership and strategic decisions. The fact that they needed settlement agreements with existing officers and directors totaling $1.9 million could indicate underlying issues or a need for a fresh start, which this investment and leadership change seems to facilitate. The dependency on shareholder approval and the fallback options if that approval isn't granted show the complexity and potential uncertainties remaining. Investors will be watching closely to see how these shareholder meetings play out and what the long-term strategy is under Mr. Lazar's likely dominant influence. The company is betting big on this investment to fund its operations and general working capital, so the successful deployment of these funds will be critical. Ultimately, Mainz Biomed NV is at a crossroads. This deal could be the lifeline that revitalizes the company, or it could signal a significant change in its identity and strategic direction. driven by its new majority stakeholder. The key risks are whether the shareholders will approve the conversion and whether the company can successfully implement its plans with the new capital. Alright, that is our breakdown of Mainz Biomed NV's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more exclusive content and discussions. Thanks for watching, see you next time.